Ilo Ilo here in the Philippines on Panay Island. How are you tonight? We're going to talk about a myriad of things just like we always do. But I want to talk about specifically for myself. Well, there's a lot of different things I thought about tonight, but I think tonight we're going to talk about, uh, why did we come to Southeast Asia? Or why did we choose the Philippines or Thailand if you're in Thailand? Or why did we leave our home country and go to another country to live life? Or some of us just do it part time. Some of us, like me, I did it for permanent. I made a decision that even though I'm an American and I love my life in America, I love America, but I just made a decision that I wanted something different. Hey, there's I'm Enjoy Darren. How you doing, Darren? Hey, Colonel, Professor. Darren, appreciate you stopping in, man. And there's somebody else in here too. Appreciate the thumbs up. Yeah, I'm just curious, if there's people that are contemplating coming to the Philippines or Thailand or Vietnam or somewhere else in Southeast Asia. I'm just curious about what's their reasoning behind it. I mean, my backstory a little bit is, I worked for the government all those years, and I worked a job I didn't like. I was good at it. I've said that several times, and but I didn't enjoy going to federal prison every day, and working around some real knuckleheads. I worked with some really good people, and you know who you are. And I worked with some other people that were just straight up worthless, if we're telling the truth. But I met a lot of good people too, and they always had. Generally, I'm not going to say they always had my back, because some of them, they didn't have my back. Let's just be honest. And if they want to step up in his live stream and be counted and say, yeah, I was one of those, because I had a lot of people working against me when I was a supervisor. But that's the way it is. Hey, good morning, good evening, Lowell. Hello from Oregon. God bless. Thanks, Lowell. I appreciate you, man. I just was scrolling through Messenger and I saw your face there, and I just said, I wonder how he's doing. So it's good to see you. Darren says, I tried to buy your ginger beer, but they don't want Americans to have our best ginger beer. That's okay, Darren. I appreciate you trying, man. I don't believe a word that you're saying about that, but I can buy it here in the Philippines because they don't mind if the Filipinos have it. So when nobody's looking, I'll just buy it. But they had some other stuff. They had a Bundaberg peach. They had peach soft drink there. I was looking at that real hard. I tell you what, the store I was looking at, 98 pesos for one little tiny bottle. I'm just like, that's not liquid gold now, But they got some different flavors I'd like to try. They got another one, lemon, lime, and bitters. I don't want to try it. I'm not into that, but that peach sounded good, and they had sarsaparilla. And sarsaparilla is one of my favorite drinks. But it's all good, and that's okay, Darren. I just appreciate you saying that you tried, whether you did or not. I don't believe you, my friend. But it's all good. I appreciate you guys being here. 3 people in here now. Give me a thumbs up if you don't mind, folks. And but I'm just curious. Now, some of you have been to the Philippines already. Some of you haven't. And but when I was working, and I just took a vacation. I was supposed to go with my good friend Ronnie Malden, and he was a fellow lieutenant I was working with. He had retired, and he had been going back and forth to Ukraine, and chasing women over there in what do you call that? The Near East? I don't know. Over there. But anyway, he was chasing women over there in Europe, and I just wasn't feeling that. I mean, I was told him, we were discussing, I was like, there's some beautiful women over there. But and don't misunderstand, there's some beautiful women all over the world in any country, really. However, what do you say here, Darren? I got a case of it, and you will have to sharing with Karen. She likes it too. That's no problem, bro. I have no problem sharing with anybody. Well, that's not true, but I have no problem sharing with James and Karen. But that's some good stuff. That Bundaberg ginger beer is, I don't know, there's just something about it that I like it. I enjoy the heck out of it. Tastes good to me. And but what I was talking about was, when I looked at I lost my train of thought. Yeah, Ronnie Malden. And we decided, I just told him, I said, I've never been to Southeast Asia. My dad had been to Vietnam. He'd been to the Philippines. He'd been to Australia. My dad had been all over Okinawa uh, when he was in the Army. And I just thought, he always talked about how much he enjoyed it. My mom enjoyed Okinawa. And they just talked about how nice it was and beautiful. I said, I'm going to go over there. So I was doing some research and I was looking at some pictures and I ran across pictures from Thailand. And I was just like, hey, William, welcome. Good evening, sir, from William Roseboom. Good to have you here. And William says hello to everybody. I just started this, William, so just a few people in here, but I appreciate the 5 of you that are here and the thumbs up. That impresses me, actually. If somebody comes in here and gives me a thumbs up, I'm like, wow, okay, that's cool. And it helps the algorithm, it helps out the channel. And we had a good live stream last night with James, too, from James and Karen. We were both tired. I'm a little bit tired tonight, too, which is weird. I didn't do a thing today. Not really. Went out to the grocery store, but really didn't do much. And I'm getting ready for. I'm going to be heading here to Manila tomorrow evening, and so if you don't mind, say a prayer for my safety going up there. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. I decided I would go to Thailand, and I've told this story before. I'm just kind of reiterating again. And Ronnie, my friend Ronnie, he's like 9 years older than me. He was single, and he was kind of like, he was my dating mentor, because he's like, he just seemed to know more about things than I did. And hold on a second, Darren's asking me something. Hi, Darren says, so what flavors did you say you want to try of the Bundaberg flavors, as they make a lot of different ones? I'm willing to try just about any of them. Darren, because I think they're probably all good. But I saw peach at the Marketplace store here, and I was looking at that real hard because I like peach. Peach is an American flavor too, and that just sounded good to me. But I like the sarsaparilla, and I was looking at they had that too. But I don't know all the flavors of Bundaberg they had. I know the ginger beer is fantastic. I like that stuff, but I'd try any of it really. I like to try different flavored stuff. But yeah, they probably don't even market all the flavors over here in the Philippines that you guys can get there back in the home country. But that's just some good stuff. A little pricey for me here, but I, it's a treat for me. Even if I get that ginger beer, it's a treat because I'm forking out almost 100 pesos per bottle, and it's hard for me to justify that. But when I get paid, I can do it. It's all good. And William says, going to Manila to do what? Well, I'm going up. I got a date in Manila there, William. And I was supposed to go get some paperwork, but I think I've worked it out where I'm not going to have to do that. So I'm just going to go there to meet my sweetheart. And yeah, I'm going to meet a lady that I had dated before, and just things didn't work out, and so I tried dating other people, and she contacted me and said she missed me, and she wants to try again and maybe rectify some of the issues that she had before. So we're gonna go check it out, and we've already made some plans and whatnot. So things could be changing for me. I'm not sure yet on that, but I'll keep you all posted. And she's not as shy as the last one, so it'll be interesting. She's a little feisty, this one, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm going, William will be going to the mall there, to the Brickyard. That's where they sell. It's a hobby shop where they sell the Tamiya cars, and they have the Tamiya track, because I kind of like doing that as a hobby, and it just lets me work with my hands. I like building things, and I like building the little Tamiya cars, and I haven't raced any of them yet, but that's something I want to do. I want to have my own racetrack. Talked about that a little bit last night, but Darren says, hey, William. And Williams and Darren, what up? Kangaroo lover. I don't know that Darren ever said he's a kangaroo lover, but he's from the land of Oz, that's for sure. There's 15 different flavors, Darren says. Wow. One of each, Darren. I don't think I need the lemon, lime, and bitters. That doesn't sound good to me. But Wow, I didn't know. You know what? I'm gonna have to look that up on the internet. I'm gonna have to look that up. 15 different flavors. That's cool. Good luck with the date, sir. Thanks, William. Well, I've dated her before, William, so we're just kind of like rekindling the flame and getting back together is what we're doing, and I'll probably we'll see what happens. I think she wants to see Ilo. I'm hoping see Island Panay, and uh, if she's willing, I'll introduce her to you all, and because it's we'll see. I've been dating for a long time, folks, and I've dated different people because I believe in having options, and you don't really get to know somebody unless you go on dates with them. You know, that's just, I mean, some women get offended by that, like, because they want to be just the only one. I'm like, well, so how, you can't tell me that as a woman you're only talking to one man, you know? But someone they try to say it, I'm like, come on, I'm not naive, I'm not stupid. But they want you to be the only man, they want to be the only girl that you're talking to. But they were talking to all these other guys. And it's so crazy, the games that people play when it comes to dating. And as you get older, dating doesn't get easier. It just gets, I don't even want to say it gets harder. It gets more complicated, put it that way. Because you know already stuff that's going on. And that's not what I want to talk about tonight. But anyway, with age comes experience. I'm not even going to say wisdom, but experience. Should be wisdom, but a lot of times it's just experience. But thanks, Sarah William. Appreciate you. Hey, Norm's in the house. Bundaberg is underwater at the moment, so maybe drown for. Man, I don't want to hear that, man. That's not good. I don't want to be underwater, man. They got some good stuff. Moment of silence while I eat this, and moment of silence for Bundaberg. Well, I hope they get through that flooding. Darren says, hey, Norm. Norm, hey, Darren. Norm is laughing. Or Darren's laughing at Norm with a drowned flavor. Norm from William. Fortune's in the house. Good evening, good PM, Colonel. Good evening, Colonel. Good evening, Fortune. Thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate you. Hope you had a good birthday the other day. And Fortune's still young, man. He's still a young man, but always nice to have a birthday. Yeah, Arnell Jr. is back and said hello. Norm says, hey, William. William said, I saw Darren in a video, so I tagged James, but he claims he can't find it. Oh, my goodness. Darren says, it sounds like a brand new flavor they're going to make, Norm. So it sounds like there's, the drowned flavor. I guess it's going to be a little on the salty side. I don't know. We'll see. Perhaps Bundaberg muddy water. Brackish water. There we go. Yeah, Bundaberg brackish flavor. I don't know. Is the plant inland or is it along the coast? Where are you staying in Manila? Wow, William, you're getting full of questions there, William. You want to go with me? Wow. I like to go to BGC when I'm in Manila. I usually stay, I stay in BGC area where I usually stay. Fortune says, yes, Colonel, thanks. We will be hosting lunch Saturday at home for the cheese side of the family. Oh, that's nice, Fortune. Man, it's like you're gonna have two birthday parties, man. That's cool. Where did you see me in a video, William? Darren's asking. Darren says, there's Fortune. William says, Facebook, Darren, it was a video about an Aussie yelling at two kangaroos in the middle of the road. Were they boxing, William? Norm says, it's in the middle of Queensland, which has flooded. Man, that's not good. I don't like to hear that because the soft drinks are overpriced, but I sure think I just like the taste. I like that ginger beer. And good evening, Darren from Fortune. DB says, I think that's Darren. And Darren said, LOL at William. Yeah, so back to my little story there. So I started looking on the internet and I saw pictures of Thailand. They were wearing all their Thai costumes and stuff, and just beautiful women over there in Thailand. Just thought, I told my friend Ronnie, dude, Ronnie, yo man, let's go to Thailand. He's like, Thailand? I'm like, yeah. He goes, let me look. I said, well, look at these pictures here. And I know the old hound dog that Ronnie was, so he saw the pictures I was showing him. He's like, well, Doug, yeah, we should do that. And he goes, but I can't do it right now. I don't have the money because I just gone over there to the Ukraine area or whatever, chasing a woman over there that he was in love with, and or in lust with. But anyway, I hope his wife's not. He's married now to an American lady. I hope she doesn't see this. But anyway, it was before he met her. But yeah, so he said, yeah, he goes, but I need some time. And then we started, we're talking about that a little bit, and I said, okay, I'll wait for a little bit. And then we went to the Harley dealership, and I told this story before, so forgive me if you watched the video and saw this before, but we met a Thai lady at the Harley Davidson shop. She was working down there in Brunswick, Georgia. And we started talking to her and said, hey, we'd like to go to Thailand, but we don't speak the language at all. And we're like, you want to go along with us? You want to go back home? You can be our tour guide and you can help translate. And she's like, yeah, I'll do that. And but that never happened. And what happened? And I told Ronnie, I said, I think I'm going to get on a dating site and see if I can meet somebody, and that will help us when we go over there. And I said, you should probably do the same thing. So we both did, and he started talking to this lady, and which is funny because after the fact, she and I became pretty good friends. And I haven't talked to her in a few years, but when I was in Thailand, I would talk to her on a regular basis. But then she ended up going. I think she went to England. I think she went to England to work or whatever. But anyway, and I started talking to this lady, closer to my age, in her at the time. She was in her late 40s, and I was too. So anyway, as time went on, we were talking and whatnot. I decided this lady didn't think I was legit and whatnot. So I'm legit. I don't lie. So I'll come visit you. And she's like, I don't believe you. No, I'll come visit you. So I went and told Ronnie, hey Ronnie, I'm going to Thailand in October. He's like, what? It's like in 3 months. He goes, I'm not going to have enough money by then. Because Ronnie's he's real regimented, and he's got everything planned out. And whereas I'm a fly by the seat of pants. I'm like, I get an idea in my head, and if I had the ability to do it, I just go and do it. Hold on, let's catch up here. Okay. David, how you doing? I've been watching your streams a little bit. I missed the one earlier today. But yeah, David Golden Eagle there. 10th like, thanks. I'm only showing 9, but it'll catch up there, David. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for coming over. David's got a ministry going on, and he's going to be reaching out and helping people and whatnot over here, and he's got started his channel there to do that, to help people. So God bless him for that, and wish the best and the blessings as time goes on. Hopefully people will jump on board with that and help you out. Darren says, check out the one that the kangaroo hugging my dog, and I went up and punched the kangaroo to let my dog. I saw that one, but I didn't hang around to see the response from Naru. I actually saw that video. That was hilarious. And of course, it might be all AI. Who knows? William, that's a better video. Yeah, that was a hilarious video. I've seen. That's been a minute since I saw that. But yeah, spontaneous says spontaneous. David Goldie says I'm spontaneous too. Yeah, it's kind of the way I do things. It's just, and it kind of works out that way for me. Sometimes I get burnt, but usually it works out for me. That's not you, Darren. Stop lying. That dude is half your age. And William says that's funny. David said, yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, David, I think you got a good idea going there, and I pray for the blessings from the Lord for that, for you guys, and for what you want to do. And YouTube's an interesting animal. I'm not even monetized yet, but it's because I haven't really been working so hard at it, because I don't want it to be a job. I want to do this for fun, and I'm meeting people and having fun, cutting up with people, and some fellowship and whatnot. And I've got some good friends from them, James and Karen. met Bellis, you know, and I met some other people too. You know, I actually did I meet Ray? Yeah, I met Ray in person, and I talked to Ray, and I didn't meet Mike over there in Masbate in person, just on videos, and probably not going to meet him, but I've met other people that I don't associate with. You know, Frank and Fell. Frank doesn't give me the time of day, even though I met him in person and talked to him, and it's all good. You don't have to be in a friend relationship with everybody. Just be friendly. Darren says, like, subscribe, and hit the bell and comment, guys, and share. Appreciate that, Darren. Thank you, brother. And shh, well, don't tell everyone. That's funny. Darren was wearing a kangaroo suit in that video. That's funny. That's great, Stone Cold. Darren, that video, not AI, Colonel, as that guy was a pig hunter, and it was real. I believe it was real too, Darren. I was just kind of joking about it, but I believe that was real too. And that was a great video. I thought it was hilarious because the Roo was standing there like, "What just happened?" That dude punched me in the face. Like, what just happened? Yeah, that was hilarious. I guess he had a stranglehold on that dog, if I remember right, and the guy was just trying to save his dog. Because from what I understand, I don't live in Australia, but from what I understand, that kangaroos can put a hurting on you. They can hurt you. And David says, I am not monetized, but the watch hours will keep climbing. We're just getting started compared to others. Yeah, David, it's the watch hours that get me, to be honest with you. And I've got the subscribers. I've got a lot of people supporting the channel as far as that goes. And I've got people like Norm and whatnot that watch the videos to help me get my watch hours up. I'm just going to have to, I got to do more long form videos. And I got to be honest, I'm just lazy sometimes. I've got some content on my camera that I haven't even downloaded yet because, sometimes I just get in a funk sometimes where I just don't feel like doing nothing. I just want to lay around and do nothing. And it's just not the way to be. Plus, I need to stop traveling. And hopefully, after this Manila trip, I'll stop traveling for a little bit. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, life's going to be changing for me again here in the near future. And we'll see how it goes. I'll just leave that at that. But I'm not monetized either, David. I'm working on it. William says, did he really just skip my name about all the people he met? Wow, that's crazy. Well, I guess, William, I should save just a special section for Dutch boys. And you got to understand, guys, I'm like 5'7", and William's like 7 foot tall. And I'm calling him little Dutch boy and whatnot. And he comes bebopping down the road at Low Ola's Fish Farm. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to meet this guy now in person after talking smack to him on the live stream. But now William's a good dude. He just happens to be younger than me, and I hate that. But I'm sorry, William. I didn't mention you, man. That's just, hey, I'm over 60, man. I get forgetful. But yeah, I met William. And that was kind of an extra treat where I wasn't expecting that. And he showed up. I was like, man, that's cool. Because James always talks about him. It tells me what a good guy he is and everything. I'm like, okay, well, and James like, yeah, you got to meet him. I'm like, well, I'm willing to meet him. I just don't know, I don't know where he lives or anything. So I got to meet him at Low Ola's Fish Farm with Gino and Dazzle and them. And JP was out there. And that was pretty cool. William's a good dude. I mean, he's European, but we'll forgive him for that. He's still a good dude. I'm just joking, man. Kinda. Dave said, it happens, but doing it consistently so far, just be you. Yeah, Dave, I've been seeing you going on there and doing your live, and you just do your thing, man. Just kind of like I watch you, I'm like, yeah, you're doing the same thing I'm doing. Just doing something, having fun with it, and what happens, 6'2". I thought you were about 7 foot, William, but see, everybody's extra tall to me. William says he's not in the NBA. That was about all I could say to that, William, but I won't. However, I will say this. When I was a little boy, between 10 and 13, I went to watch basketball in Germany. And I tell you what, just like the Philippines, those people get into their basketball, man. Yeah, those fans over there at those basketball, you would have thought it was the NBA, but the fans were even more into it than like at an NBA game. I mean, it was crazy. They were getting in. It's just like the local town teams or whatever. But it seemed to be at a professional level or semi-pro level, and they took that stuff serious. But yeah, it was good. That was fun going to that basketball game. They were, I mean, hooping and hollering and carrying on, and yeah, it was wild. William said, "Stop bullying Europe. Our powerhouses, France and Germany, are in big trouble." Well, I think the UK's in trouble too. And that's what happens when you have decades, just like in the US too, when you have decades of bad policy, and bad ideas. And like in the US, when you have decades of liberal secular humanism, liberal left-wing ideology, where the socialists are slowly grabbing hold because their goal in the U.S. is to eventually take over. And they're so happy now, the socialist communists, that this joker Mamdani got elected, and because they mayor of New York City, and I'm like shaking my head, asking myself, and I already know the answer, but I still ask myself the rhetorical question: how did that happen? But you know what? God's in control, and everything happens for a reason, good and bad. And the world's just not going to get better, folks. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Let's see. William says, "That's funny, William. I'm sorry, man, if I'm bullying Europe. Yes, that big powerhouse of France. I can't believe you even said that, but I'll let it go, man. It's totally different, much more passion than in the U.S. As far as the basketball, yeah, they really get in. They got now. This is in the '70s when I was living in Germany, okay? But man, they were passionate. Yeah, that's the word for it. They were passionate about it. Watching all the dudes run back and forth, all the white dudes now, okay? It ain't like in America. This is in Germany. It was all the white dudes with their long hair and looking like hippies running up and down the basketball court. And I'm surprised my parents we were even allowed to go to that. But I think somebody invited them, and my dad was like, "Yeah, okay, we're going to go to a basketball game." It's something we'd never done before. And we had a blast. At least there wasn't another chamber music concert. Our parents always, oh my goodness, they used to drag us to. But you know what? I experienced all of that in Europe, the culture and the classical music and the cathedrals and you know, I at the time I hated some of it, but I appreciate all of what my parents did and all the places they drug us. I was telling William, we went to the Netherlands three or four times, and we'd stay in we'd stay with families. They would run a bed and breakfast, and I remember those soft boiled eggs, man. I hated them. I like my whites cooked and the eggs, but that and the continental breakfast, the cheeses and the meat, and yeah, I was talking to William about that. I enjoyed the Netherlands. I really did. As much as been teasing him, I really enjoyed that there. I enjoyed Germany. I wish we had gone to other places. I wish we had gone to the UK, but my parents had no desire to go there. And we made the mistake of going into France. And I'll just leave. That was that whole trip was a mistake. And they treated us so badly when we got over there. And we went through Trier. Beautiful, but the French people were not very kind to us. And we couldn't figure out why. My cousin and her husband, they came to visit from the U.S. and we took them over. We went into France, and yeah, it was just a bad trip. It was a bad trip, and my parents never wanted to go to Paris. They said, we're not going to that dirty city. I'm like, okay, and I never went to Italy, but we went to just about everywhere: Switzerland, Austria, Luxembourg, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and at the time the wall was up. So, but I even got to go. I was in the Boy Scouts, and we had a camporee in Berlin. So we had to take the troop train through East Germany up to Berlin, and that's something I'll never forget. That, and seeing the wall and walking, touching the Iron Curtain that they called it, the wall. That's stuff that has made me who I am today, and it's stuff I'll never forget that. Let me catch up. I'm way behind on the comments. Apologies for that. I get on my little, go down my little rabbit trails, and I forget. Uh, Not to mention Estonia. Stone Cold says, "Yeah, I want to say, I, I guarantee they're into it too. The UK left the EU, so we don't really care." I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. Just because the UK got smart, you don't have to beat them up for it. And they got smart and then they got dumb because it's not the same UK anymore. It might as well be Islamic country. Although I talked to my British friend, he's like, "Oh, it's not like that. Don't believe everything you hear on the news." I'm like, "Dude, if you got five of your major cities, the mayors are Muslim, the UK is not the same anymore. I'm sorry." Ah, Obi's here. Good evening, Colonel. Good to see you, Obi. Welcome. Appreciate it. Wow, 11 thumbs up already. That's cool. That helps beat the algorithm, folks. That helps push the channel out there and helps me build up the watch hour. So I appreciate that. We eat the boiled eggs. Yeah, I don't have a problem with a boiled egg, William, but they would do them like soft boiled. And I like mine more on the harder side because I take the top off of there. And we had, oh, my mom, we had the fancy little holders. Put the egg in there and you tap the top and take that top off and then you scoop it out with a little egg spoon. And I didn't like the clear stuff. I wanted my egg to be cooked all the way. But my parents loved it. My dad loved it. He thought that was wonderful. But my dad always fancied himself as a man of the world, and well, he was. He'd been all over the world, and I can't take that away from him. But he was a city boy. My dad was brought up in Hartford, Connecticut, and so he's straight up city boy. He loved all that fancy stuff, and I'm just a country person. French people don't like anyone. Come on, William. I'm gonna let you say that, but because they treated us bad. But I know there's some French. I have met some French people that were all right when I was in Thailand. But they didn't like us when I lived there as a little kid. Italy is amazing. Yeah, I've never gone to Italy. Always wanted to, but there again, my parents had no desire to go to Italy. I wanted to go, but they didn't want to go. And hey, I was a kid, and what could I do? My favorite country is Spain, though, William says. Yeah, I guess if you like to be in a country with all criminals, it seems Spain is one of those countries where the criminals like to hang out. But they say it's beautiful, you know. And I only say that because some of the criminals that I was around in Thailand and were making news in Thailand and stuff, they came from Spain, or they were running their illegal activity out of Spain. And the one guy that was had a mansion in our village, because the girl, his wife or girlfriend, was from that village. He's a guy that got he died there in Pattaya, getting into his Porsche, but he was involved in criminal activity. And his partner in Spain put a hit out on him. And Tony Kenway was his name. So anybody watching this, so it was in Thailand, and you heard the name Tony Kenway, it made the news. They had video. It was on video and everything. The guy in the hoodie, walking up to the guy was getting into his Porsche Tucson or whatever, the SUV Porsche, and the guy was wearing a hoodie, got off motorbike. Two guys. The one got off the motorbike, had his hand in the pocket of the hoodie, walked up, blocked the door from being closed, and he just took care of business right there. And the guy, Tony Kenway was no longer living. Crazy. But I only mentioned Spain because that's where his partner, and they have been had their criminal activity based out of Spain. But it's well known. A lot of people go to Spain. A lot of criminals go there to hide out, and that doesn't mean that the country itself is bad. It's a haven for criminals. Obi says, my son's girlfriend just came back from London, and she says that she couldn't read the store names and found it interesting that a majority of the people were not speaking English. That's concerning to me. Well, it should be, especially if you're British. But any country can end up that way, even America, if the people are in the government is not careful. If you keep acquiescing to other groups, if you keep having immigration policies that just let anybody come in, that's going to happen. Your country's going to change, and that's what the Democrats are trying to do in America. They're trying to change the demographics of America so that they could stay in power. But it backfired on them because, a lot of conservative, red-blooded Americans were like, enough's enough. And then you end up with a president like Trump. And people are like, man, how does this guy ever he's so bad, blah, blah, orange man bad, whatnot. Well, he might be a bad person in his personal life, but I've had people speak up and say, he's actually he's a really nice man, if you know him personally, and if you're in his circle, he likes to take care of people. But he might be a little bit on the, he's a guy, he'll drop an F-bomb and he'll say stuff he shouldn't say and maybe act inappropriately around women. He's been married more than once, and I can't say anything. Unfortunately, I have too. So you might not like his morals and all that, but sometimes God uses people like that to do his work and to do good things. And the U.S. needed a leader like him right now. So many people hate on him, and I'm like, you know what? If you hated on Biden or Obama as much as you hated on him, maybe we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in. Give me a break. I just get tired of it. That's why we don't talk about politics. Hold on, I got to get back up here, folks. All right. William says, they broke my brother's lock in Spain. He ran after them with a baseball bat, but he ain't too quick nowadays. Oh, my goodness. JP says, hello, Colonel. How you doing, JP? Thanks for stopping in, man. Yeah, I talked to JP earlier, and that's a good guy right there. And he's been to Los Olas also, and I believe he met William too. We were all there on the same day. Margie Gariba says hello. Hi, Margie. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for commenting. I appreciate that. I really do. The more comments, even the people that come in as trolls and comment, that helps. That helps the channel from what I understand. JP says, hi, Obi. Margie Gariba, hi again. Remember me from your first life. Okay. Obi Adventures. Good evening, JP. Hope you have a great day. I think that's supposed to say. Yeah, so Margie, I think that I don't know what you're trying to say, or maybe you're somebody I know and you're using a different name. It might be Jen. I don't know. But anyway, appreciate the comment. Comment some more if you'd like. But anyway, back to what I was talking about before. And I was just talking about how I went to Thailand, or how I came to go to Thailand the first time. And, Obi says, yep, I had LOA, I just woke up. All right, Obi. So I went to Ronnie and I told him, and then I told him I wanted to go to Thailand. He agreed. But he wanted me to wait like 6 months. Well, in the meantime, I started talking to Suntari, this lady over there, beautiful lady, and she had 3 daughters, and I started talking to her, becoming friends with her, and I told her I'd like to come visit. I'd never been to Thailand before, and she didn't really believe me. I said, no, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. JP says, I love the memes that show the Clintons and Obama say the same things about immigration as Trump, but when Trump said it, it's bad. Yeah, unfortunately, those memes, those were actual things they said. That's not AI. That's not made up. They might make the memes and stuff AI and whatnot. But, I mean, Obama, he deported more people than Trump has. His administration, I mean, he was known as the deporter in chief. Who do you think made the cages that the kids and stuff were in? That was Obama. People forget. The Democrats they're spin masters. They like to spin the story to make people go their way, and they'll lie, cheat, and steal, change the story or whatever. But how quickly they forget that their brother that was president, you know, he he did some stuff that Republican stuff would agree with now, you know. And I think most people in America, they didn't have a problem with that when he was doing it. But now all of a sudden, because, well, it's true, they didn't. We wanted to get the immigration thing under control. And Obama did a lot of that. Now, a lot of it he tried to keep quiet because it's not popular with the far left and the liberal left and whatnot. You got to remember, too, Obama is part of that, bringing in that socialist ideas. Now, he didn't want to be the socialist, but he wanted to help open the door for it in the future. And but anyway, that's a whole nother subject, and James should be here for that. But but he deported a lot of people. But you're right. Now that Trump is doing stuff like, oh, that's bad. Oh, we can't do that. What kind of country? And like my cousin, oh, I'm in tears over what's going on in this country. And I'm like, what? Rounding up people that are in here in our country illegally? You're shedding tears about that? Give me a break. And you got people like that are trying to do things right, like my friend with his Filipino wife. They're married now. And he's still fighting immigration to get her the stuff that she needs. Now she's in the U.S. with him, but she still don't have a green card, you know, or whatever. And then you got, you know, we'll wait and see what happens with James and Karen. You know, when you try to do things legal with immigration, oh my goodness, it's like pulling teeth. But now if you cross a border illegally, especially during the Biden administration, hey, if you could make that trip and you can get across, you're golden. They'll give you keys to the safe. And it's just crazy. All right, let's see. JP, no. Okay, I'm still at the bottom. So I'll go on with my story about Thailand. So I was talking to Soon, and she didn't believe I was going. I said, no, if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'll do it. So I went back to Ronnie and said, hey, Ron, I'm going to Thailand. I said, I'm going in October. He's like, what? He goes, I can't go then. I said, well, you know, I got to get off work because he was retired. But I had to plan it so that, because at the most, especially as a lieutenant, they're only going to give you 2 weeks annual leave. They really only like to give you one. You know, I wanted 3 weeks so that I could make this trip. I'm like going halfway across the world. But even the captain is like, I can't do that. I can't do that for you. Because I'll give you I'll approve 2 weeks, but I'm not approving 3. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I had to work it out where, you know, I could leave like on a Friday night or a Saturday. Because even with the 2 weeks, with 14 full days, I ended up only being able to have 10 days in Thailand because of the traveling and everything. So I had to go without my friend Ronnie, which I was really a little upset about because I didn't want to go by myself. I'm going to a country that I absolutely don't know the language at all, don't know anything about the culture. I don't know anything. And so I worked it out with her, and she was supposed to meet me at like 3 a.m. at the airport in Bangkok. She had to fly in also. And so worked it all out, and I said, you know what time I'm coming in? And she's like, yeah. I said, you know, I'm coming. It's the middle of the night. It's not in the afternoon. It's the middle of the night. And yeah, I understand. Well, I flew into Bangkok to Suvarnabhumi Airport, and guess what? She wasn't there. She was not there. And it's in the middle of the night. I'm in a foreign country. I don't know the language at all. I can't use my phone. You know, I could use Wi-Fi and to try to contact her on the Line app because we have been communicating using the Line app. And I had a phone number for her, but I thought I left it back in the States. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you idiot. Why didn't you bring the phone? I can't believe you Well, I didn't forget it. And I searched through all my stuff. I found her actual phone number. So I went up to there was a kiosk, even in the middle of the night. They had a couple people that had a couple kiosks open. This might have been a car rental place. I don't know. But I asked the lady, or maybe it was just information. And I asked the girl there, and she spoke passable English. I just said, hey, I need some help. Somebody was supposed to meet me. I can't find her. I can't contact her. She's not answering on the Line app. I said, can you call this number and try to talk to her in Thai? And so she did, and she got a hold of her. And the story was that, hey, she said, "Oh, I'm confused about the time." I just like, no, can't be confused about that. But this is what the Thai lady was telling me that Soon said to her. She was confused about the time. She thought I was coming in at 3 in the afternoon. I'm like, there's no way. Hey, can somebody comment? Am I not? Is my stream frozen? I'm not getting any comments right now. So, did the live stream freeze? Let me reset it, folks, and see. Oh, all good. Okay. Thanks, Stone Cold. Appreciate it. Nobody had said anything for a while, so I was thinking that was all. All right, William. All right, Dutchy. I got you. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. And but when it, because my reception here, I can have 5G and 4 bars, and I still can't access YouTube. It's really weird. But anyway, so I showed up at the airport at Boom in Bangkok, and nowhere. Oh, hold on. Obi said there are also old Schumer footage with him saying that using undocumented instead of illegal means the government is not serious about facing the problems concerning immigration. JP says, "Hey, Fortune." Yeah, Obi, you're exactly right about that. And Stone Cold says, "Hey" to JP. But anyway, so I'm there in the airport, like, the heck am I gonna do? And by now it's like 4 in the morning. I'm dead tired, and I got all these bags. So I went out, and the guy came in. Of course, he's a scammer, But I got a taxi, and she was supposed to get the hotel for us to stay at, not me. She was supposed to have all this stuff because I didn't book a hotel in Bangkok or anything because we were supposed to go to Chiang Mai, and she was supposed to get a hotel and then meet me at the airport, and we'd go back to the hotel and then go on our trip, and but that didn't happen. So, and I was talk about being upset, man. I was upset. I'm like, okay, this girl scammed me. She scammed me. But she had said no, she would be there. And I'm going to get back to this, but she had said she would be there on the next day. And she lived in the Konsi Tamarat, which is quite a ways from Bangkok, but along the coast. Anyway, Fortune saying hello to everybody, JP and Obi, good evening. And Obi saying good evening to Fortune. So I went with this taxi, and he's like, "Where?" I said, "Look, I need a hotel." He's like, "Oh, I can take you to a place." Now the whole time I'm thinking to myself, "Oh man, I'm gonna get scammed so bad here." But he took me to this little hotel, and it was okay. But this is my first night in Thailand, and I got up into the room. The room was nice, but I tell you what, that mattress was as hard as a rock. I might as well have been sleeping on concrete. And I got enough problems with my sleep apnea, so it is. So, and I was dead tired, cold shower or whatever. I was just like, this is not starting out good for me. It's not starting at all. And it was like 2,000 baht. Uh, I had to pay the guy 2,000 baht, and the hotel. I was just like, I got scammed big time, and I was not happy. But I didn't know, and I relied on somebody else to make the reservations for me. And I trusted her by then. I thought I could, but then I started thinking, okay, why did this happen? I figured it out. This is back to her side of it, and she never admitted this, but I know this is what happened. She didn't trust me as a foreigner because of all the horror stories that the Thai ladies tell about meeting foreigners and stuff. 2,000 baht is like 4,000 pesos, right? And somewhere around there. I don't know what the exchange rate is right now, William, but I always looked at 3,000 baht as being a 100 American dollars. So, and I look at 5,000 pesos as 100 American dollars, even though today it's like 5,900. But anyway, yeah. So I figured out what happened. She did not want to lose money flying up to Bangkok to meet somebody that wasn't going to show up. So she was waiting to see if I was actually going to show up, even though I had emailed her or I had sent her a copy of my itinerary and everything. But she was that wary and trying to be that careful. She didn't, because she didn't have money. She was a widow. Okay, she was a widow. She had 3 daughters to take care of, and there's more to that story too. But and she wasn't honest with me about that either, about how her husband was killed and stuff. Um, it, well, I'll just talk real quick. She told me he was like a contractor or whatever, but really he was a politician, and he was higher up in the government, and they assassinated him. So that's how he. But she didn't want to. She didn't want to tell me that. And Ronnie's girlfriend that he was talking to, she explained it to me later because they became kind of friends online, and she said she was just trying to protect you. I'm like, I don't need protector from that, but she felt like she was trying to protect me, so she didn't want to tell me about the people. And it took them 2 years to find the people that killed him, and then one guy died, and then the other one went to prison. And as far as I know, it's probably still in prison. I don't know, but so anyway, long story short, so I got up, had the little meager breakfast that the Thais give you there, and I just thought, man, I just got ripped up on this, but what could I do? And then I went back to the airport and I waited for her, and she showed up. She actually showed up. I couldn't believe it. And then her story was all out. She was mixed up about time, but there's no way she could have been mixed up about the time because I had gone over it and over it about it's the middle of the night. It's not in the afternoon, early morning. It's dark. And that was her, it was all about her not trusting me as the foreigner that I would show up because I guess there are guys that have done that to a lot of guys have done that to a lot of Thai ladies. They'll tell them they meet them or whatever, and it's all a scam. But I see the Colonel. I'm not a scammer. I'm straight up. If I say I'm going to do something, generally I do it. Unless there's got to be a good reason for me not to. So the rule of thumb, one baht is 2 pesos. Okay, Fortune. Yeah, I've been over here for 2.5 years almost, so I don't keep track. I don't even look at the baht anymore, even though I still have money in Thailand. I got to go back and get it. But I don't even pay attention to it. I don't know what I got over there. It's not too much, but it's not little either. I need to go get it. I went and got it once, but anyway, that's another story. Obi says, have a great night, everyone. Going to start my son's homeschooling. All right, Obi, good for you, and good for you for doing that. Teach him right, man. All right, William says, we're going to Thailand next year. Oh, well, have fun, William. Have you been there before? William Rose of the world. Next year, have you been to Thailand before, William? I thought you had said you had been there before. I don't remember. I'm probably going. I'm going back real soon. I want to close out that account once and for all, but I got to do something else first before I do. Oh, which reminds me, I got to do my taxes. Well, anyway, such as it is. But so she did show up, and I was just standing there. Okay, this is during the day now in Bangkok. First time in Thailand. I'm watching all these people walking towards me, and all these ladies, these Thai ladies walking towards me. And this isn't meant to be racist. It's going to sound like it, but it's not meant to be, but it was just reality at the time. William says, one of my friends has a house in Chiang Mai. Okay, cool. Yeah, now Chiang Mai has changed a lot from when I went there 14, 15 years ago. It's changed a lot. But anyway, that was where I was going to go. But I ended up in Phuket because of other things that transpired. So anyway, all these ladies were walking towards me. I'm like, oh my goodness, they all look the same. And when they pulled her hair back, I was like, oh my, how am I going to tell her apart from the rest of them? Because they all look like her. that was what was going through my mind. And but it worked out, and she saw me, and then I did recognize her. Like, okay, yeah, she's as pretty as she looked on the video call, and for a lady, she's what, in her 40s, and but still, she's the kind of woman that when she was a younger lady, she was beautiful. And then I saw some pictures of her with her late husband and stuff when they first got married, and yeah, he was a very handsome Thai man, and she was very beautiful. They looked like royalty almost, and very, very handsome couple. And I was just like, yeah, you can tell even now she was older. You could tell that she was a very pretty lady, and he took very good care of her because he was very wealthy and whatnot. But yeah, it was kind of a sad story. And she also during that assassination attempt on him, she was shot because she jumped in front to protect him, and that's not just I saw the scar, I saw the scar where the bullet went in, and she's lucky to be alive. And but yeah, it was just kind of sad how that all happened. So anyway, then we tried to get, we met. Everything was cool. I was happy. Seemed like a nice lady. She's a little bit shy, but seemed like a nice lady. And then we started looking at flights to go to Chiang Mai because we wanted to just hop on a plane and go to Chiang Mai. That was the trip. That was the idea. She had never been there. Wanted to go there. I obviously had never been there, and so I thought, whatever. I'd go anywhere. We couldn't get a flight. I'm like, oh my goodness, I only have a certain amount of days. So we ended up staying in Bangkok like 2 more nights or whatever before we could get a flight because all the flights were booked to Chiang Mai. So we finally got a flight out and we went up to Chiang Mai and we stayed right in the downtown near the night market. If anybody's ever been to Chiang Mai, and we stayed at a little hotel there, and yeah, I got a lot of stories from that. Those little girls in that hotel. Somebody car. And I'm like, what? And yeah, it was crazy. And the breakfast was interesting, and it just my eyes were open to a different culture. And that was also the hotel was right beside the mosque, so they would do the call to prayer right outside. I mean, it was right beside the window of the room I was staying. I was like, oh my goodness. And then the one night, or the one early morning, they must have been training a kid. And he got on there and he blah, 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 started screaming. I can't scream, I can't go that high. I thought somebody was getting hurt. Because it wasn't the low tone it used to hearing. He had this high pitched voice and he started blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, we jumped. That's how crazy it was. But the good thing about being right beside the Muslim part of the town there, the Muslim part, was some good food. There was some good street food. Now, there was no pork, but it was good. And I had those little chicken turnovers with the masaman guy, and there was some good stuff right there. Let's see what we got in chat here. William says, never been there before, sir. Okay, William. Well, hey, you want to talk to me about it before you go or whatever? We'll have to get together sometime and talk about it. Shoot, maybe I'll go over there with you. Not with you, but go over at the same time. I have to get my girlfriend a passport, though. She doesn't have a passport. One of my friends has a house in Chiang Mai. Yeah, I've read that, okay. I think you'll enjoy it. Chiang Mai has a lot of people, Americans would say Chiang Mai, but it's actually Chiang Mai. The I is like an E a little bit, and they enunciate it a little bit. But most foreigners just go, yeah, I'm going to Chiang Mai, but it's Chiang Mai, and it's a little. That's where the Thai language is difficult, the intonation and everything. But there's a heavy Chinese influence up in Chiang Mai. But that's also where the Karen people are. Those are the ladies you see in the National Geographic cover. They have the brass bands around their neck, and their necks looks like they're stretching out their necks, and really, what they're actually doing more is pushing down their shoulders and stretching out the bones a little bit. But it's a brutal traditional religious rite that they have there. But I actually got my picture taken with the older woman. She's probably not living anymore, but I don't know. The one that was actually on the National Geographic cover, I actually got to sit down next to her and had my picture taken with her. That was kind of cool. I thought that was cool because I remember seeing those National Geographic magazines. And then they have some younger ladies and young girls that are doing the same thing. They don't have as many rings because I think it's like every year. Is it every year or every 2.5 years they get another ring? I think it's every 2.5 years they get another ring or something like that. You have to research that. Don't quote me on that. I don't remember. But that was interesting too. And it was interesting in that little village. They had a little shack, like in Philippines we'd say it had a kubo, but in Thailand they would say sala. And they had a little sala there where they were giving English classes because that's a tourist spot. So all the people that are raised there, they're trying to teach them all how to speak English so that they can profiteer from the tourism. Your tourists come in, most of them will speak English, so they want those people in that tribe to be able to speak English where they can sell more that way. But one of the things, but that was my first trip. I almost jumped ahead to when I was living there. But so we did that, and we went to the snake farm, the snake show, and that was where the king cobra jumped up in the stands. by mistake now, right where I was sitting. I thought it was coming after me. I've never seen Thai boys move so fast in my life. They jumped up out of that snake pit and ran and grabbed that thing by the tail and jerked it back in. Because, hey, I don't, even if they milk them beforehand or whatever, I don't want to be bit by king cobra, and they don't, of course, they don't want anybody to get bit. And these are the guys that were in the Rambo movie. The one Rambo movie, I think, where he's going into Cambodia and he gets the boat and stuff. These guys were the guys that were on that boat. It's supposed to be Cambodian or Lao, whatever, but they were actually Thai men that were in that movie with him, and because they had pictures and stuff, they were all proud of that. Yeah, Rambo, Rambo, and so we did that, and we went to the zoo, and we had a good time together. Um, James and Karen's in the house. Hello, everyone. Hey, James, Karen, boss. Welcome to the live stream. I was bored, so I'm live streaming, I'm talking about my first trip to Thailand a little bit. And JP says, hello, JK. Hi, James from William. It's not every year. What do you mean, William? You're not going every year? Is that what you're saying? What did I miss? I missed something. But anyway, yeah, so I did all the touristy stuff. And we hopped on a tuk-tuk, which over here would be like a tricycle, but they have tuk-tuks there. And, they do the little touristy things. Same like when you go into Boracay, whatever, they have the little guys with the little cards. Hey, I'll take you around Boracay and show you all this stuff. So we did that, and I'm assuming it's still there, William. If you get to do this, you may not be interested at all, but I thought it was really cool. We went to the umbrella factory, and where they make the umbrellas by hand, the wooden umbrellas, and that was a cool place. I had a good time there watching to see how they make that, and then some of the vendors, and they have a shop there, and I bought some of the lamps that were made there with the homemade paper or whatever, and you can get them where they're painted, or I got some with just some designs in the material, and I actually took them back to where I live, or I took them back to the U.S. and then back to Thailand, and when I lived there, and I actually made lamps out of it. I was able to find a fixture with the wire coming out and I was able to put a light bulb down there, and the final life of those little lamps that I got, I left them with my first ex-wife in Thailand, and she had a Russian boyfriend, and he decided one day that they were dirty and he was going to help her, so he took them down and decided he was going to wash them, launder them. Well, you know what happened, that idiot. He destroyed them. They fell apart once they got wet. I'm just like, when she told me that, I said, Victor? I said, Victor. I said, is Victor an idiot? She goes, well, he's not too smart about stuff like that. I said, oh, apparently not, idiot. You can't, oh my God, just, think about a homemade paper or whatever. Are you going to put that in a laundry machine? This idiot did that. And he destroyed them. It's a shame. But that's okay. They weren't mine anymore. William says, it's not everywhere. The rings, they don't, oh, okay. You're talking about the rings on the Caron people. They don't get a ring every year. Yeah, that's what I think it was every 2.5 or something. They told me when I was there. I just don't remember. Because if you think about it, if it was every year, they don't have enough space. But the older woman, I mean, she must have had a stack. She had a stack of the brass. Yeah, it was that much. And it's pretty interesting how they do that, how they get it around their neck and everything stuff. It's just kind of brutal too what they do, and painful for the girls. It's just a girl, But anyway, William says, Colonel, listen up. The boss makes the plans, and she asked me what I think, and I just say that looks like a great plan. Well, William, God bless you, man. I don't even want to comment on that, And but what I've found is sometimes even the men that think they're the boss and the men that think they got the final say and everything, it ain't like what they think it is. They think they do, but they're so influenced by their spouse or by their wife so much more than what they realize. And if they think they're not, they're lying to themselves. Because we are. I've been married, and even even as, if you want to be the big bad, I'm the king of this house, and I run this, and I decide, and I say. But you know what? Do you really? I mean, you do, but do you really? You're taking into consideration your spouse and whatnot, and because especially if it's in the Philippines, that Filipina, she gonna let you know, and she might do it. She might let you know in silence, but she's still gonna let you know how she feels. Am I right, James? You know what I mean? Am I right, William? Come on now, let's keep it real. Um, but I mean, we all. What I felt with me now, my personal experience, and I'm getting away from the Thailand story, but my personal experience, I want to have the final say, and in the situation, my family situations, and yeah, I'm going to have the final say. But you know what? I'm going to take everything into consideration, and I'm going to take the woman's, my wife's girlfriend, whatever it is, I'm going to take her feelings into consideration, and I'm even going to ask advice from them, especially as a foreigner in a foreign country. If you don't ask advice of your Filipina or your Thai lady or whoever, you're stupid. You're ignorant. You're going to be making a decision in ignorance. You got to have the benefit of having information from the family or from your spouse about the culture over here and about how things are done over here. You can't just come in with your Western ideas and ramrod it out. Now we're going to do it like this because this is the way we did it in Australia. Or this is the way we do it in America. Nah, that might work just for a little bit, but you're going to find out it's going to come around and bite you in the backside. You got to be careful with that attitude sometimes. She has not been outside of the country yet. I just want to make her comfortable. I'm with you, William. I hope, I assume she has her passport now and everything, but honestly, going from the Philippines to Thailand, because I've done it already, and I took a female with me, my first girlfriend, my first Filipino girlfriend. She went with me, and that's, you guys see Jen on here. That's Jen. I took her to Thailand, and that's an interesting story in and of itself. And she probably wouldn't appreciate if I talk about that, so I won't. But it was interesting with immigration. But yeah, it was something. I wish I could tell that. So I will have to ask her sometime if I'm allowed to tell that story. But anyway, it's, my point is this, William. It's not difficult to go from the Philippines to Thailand. It's super easy. As long as they got the passport, you go in there and they stamp it. It's Philippines and Thailand. They have that agreement. They'll give you the visa upon arrival, and there's no fee unless they've changed it. This is back. I have to talk to my friend Brian and ask him if there's been any changes or not. And usually you get 29 days, and then you can renew again for another 30 days after that, or it's 30 days and 20. But I think it's 29 days. And then on the 29th day, you got to go into immigration, and you get an extension, and it's pretty much automatic as long as you don't do anything bad. William says you get 30 days for free. Yeah, but on that 30th day, you got to make sure you go in. It was 60. Yep. Yeah, but the last time I went back to Thailand last year, and let's see, when I went back. Well, I was on long-term visa anyway, so it didn't matter for me. But I'm thinking about what Jen got when we went back. I want to say she only got. See, they were supposed to be doing the 60 days, but they had changed it then, and she only got like 29, and so we had to take her in and get the another 30 extension. But that's the thing with Thailand; they're changing that stuff all the time, so you got to stay on top of it. Yeah, William. Okay, well, you said it recently changed. Yeah, and that's my point. And you just validated my point, is that they change all the time over there. And I get a kick out, this is one of the things I got a kick out of Thailand was whenever they talk about, oh, we have a new scheme, I'll be like, for immigration and to entice foreigners to come to Thailand. I'm like, well, that's the problem right there. You're using the word scheme. So it already sounds like it's a little shady, or it's geared to screw over the foreigner to get more money out of them. Because that's really what the Thai government wants. They want money from the foreigner. They don't want you. They don't want you to be there. They just want you to come and spend your money. And I hate to be that way, but that's just was my observations after living there for 9.5 years. I did not feel welcome. Now some of the Thai people will make you feel welcome, and if you get married and you marry into a good family, oh, this family's going to take care of you for good reason, you know. And there's a lot of happy foreigners that are married to Thai women, and they have, like my friend from Australia, Tony Eastmead. He's got a great situation, you know, but he takes care of that family really well. Takes care of his wife really well and her daughter, and her family. They take and his wife too, and he married a lady, you know, she's not young, so they take really good care of him. So it just depends on the situation. My Thai wives, well, my first one was crazy, my second one was a crook. So, criminal family. So it's just the way it goes, you know. But I knew what I was getting into when I did it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I got hoodwinked. I didn't get hoodwinked. I knew what was going on. I just chose to ignore it. Let's see, William said, yeah, they changed it every 3 to 4 months. He says, I have felt at home since the start. I assume you're talking about here in the Philippines. I enjoy it here, man. That's why I moved. I left Thailand for several reasons. And the first one being is when I came here to visit, I was just like, why am I not living in the Philippines? Why am I living in Thailand? Granted, I was living right on the beach. It was beautiful, very quiet where I lived. It was safe, relatively. And, you know, but the language barrier was always there. And Pomputai I didn't know. I speak enough Thai I can get by. I know all the numbers. I know how to tell time in Thai. I know, you know, I can go to a restaurant. I can order food. But it's not like here in the Philippines where I can actually have a conversation. I can get in a taxi here and have a conversation with the guy, you know, if he wants to. William says, my girlfriend, her family, BIR, people in general, everybody is super friendly. And that's the one thing, yeah, the Bureau of Immigration, when I came here on a travel visa, okay? And I remember the first time going to Batangas City to immigration. Well, no, actually, first time I went to immigration was in Manila. What, did I go to immigration in Manila? Yeah, I went to immigration in Manila for something. I don't remember what that was all about. But when I had to renew my travel visa, I always went to Batangas City. And, oh, they were great. There was an older immigration officer. And when we got to talking and I told him what my job was, I showed him my credentials. Man, they treated me like gold. Every time I went in there, they did everything for me. And then he retired and they brought in a younger fella. But you know what? I talked to the younger fella, and because they greet you, when you walk in, they greet you. You're not going to get that in Thailand. You're not going to, no, it ain't like that in Thailand. Now, some immigrations in Thailand, they're friendly. Other ones, you're a criminal as soon as you walk in that door. And I hated it. But it just depends where you went. I never had any issues in Phuket except for one time, and that was my fault. I thought it wasn't, but it was. I forgot to do something, and I took care of it and went in. It was no problem. Sarbarina, they just outright hated me. Those female officers in there, oh, that older one, oh, she could not stand me, and the feeling was mutual. So I left that province, went back to, well, I tried to go back to Phuket. I ended up in Prachuap Khiri Khan, which was great. Hua Hin immigration in Hua Hin, they were fantastic. But there's some regulations that aren't fantastic. And that's just the way it is. William says, communication is key. That's why I chose the Philippines over Thailand. Exactly right, William. And, you know, English is not your first language either. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But, you know, but if you can use English as a base to, you know, other countries, that was what did it for me. When I went over to Bulacan and visited, and I had Filipino men my age or around my coming up and talking to me, just saying, "Hello, sir. How are you today? Where are you from?" And I mean, the one guy, I had a 35-minute conversation with this guy on the street outside of Walter Mart. I didn't know this guy from Adam, but he talked to me like a human being, and we had some things in common, and we just talked. And he had worked in the U.S., I guess, and at one time as OFW. But yeah, I was just like, wow, that was nice. I never had that happen with a Thai person. Never. Not like that. Not where somebody, strangers, comes up and starts talking to you in English, and not just English, but very good English. very understandable. And I was just like, why am I spinning my wheels in Thailand, living by myself, uh, living alone, and living in an area where I had no friends. Um, Although I lived on the beach and I could go fishing every day, and I had stuff like, and I could do some of my hobbies. I was doing some making tables, welding table legs, stuff, putting wood tops. I was trying to do, and I was growing cacti. I had a lot of cacti, and they were blooming. I was growing orchids, and they were blooming. I had some beautiful orchids. So I had all that, but I was lonely. And I didn't like the idea that when anytime I walked out on the beach or walked down, I couldn't really speak, I couldn't have a conversation with anyone. And that just got old. And part of that was my fault too, okay, in all honesty, because I'm antisocial, I'm an introvert. Even I went up to Hua Hin, which I did a lot, almost every, not every day, but every other day. I would go up to Hua Hin to walk around the malls, to go eat some American food, pizza company, semi-American pizza, and or whatever, and or Burger King or whatnot, just to have a taste of home. Because I got tired, I got sick of Thai food, I got sick of rice, and that's just me. Because I don't eat fish. If I ate fish, I would have fit in a whole lot better. But everybody's different, and so I was to that point where, well, I just way ahead. Let's go back to the first time I went to Thailand. That's what we were talking about, and I got off on that tangent. Sorry about that. Um, Niels, hello Niels, welcome man. Appreciate you coming in. Don't forget that thumbs up. Appreciate y'all. On there's 5 people. Well, hey, 5's better than none. I'm happy. We'll just have a little circle. Oh, now there's 8 people. That's great. But anyway, well, sorry about that. People are messaging me. I should have turned the sound off on my phone. But anyway, hello Niels. Appreciate you being here again. And William says, well, I always pay the express fee, and I still don't know where that money goes. Well, that goes into the pocket, that goes into the party fund at immigration, man, so they can have their Christmas party and whatnot. Now, I don't know. It goes somewhere. Yeah, I always paid it too. That 1,000 peso express fee. Because I didn't want to come back. I was taking a bus from San Juan over to Batangas City, and I was taking a Supreme bus. I don't want to take that bus at, 2 days in a row, which I had said that. I had to do that because you never know when that office was going to be closed. I'd roll in there, walk down from the bus station because I didn't want to pay, too cheap to pay a tricycle. Walk in there and get there and be closed. I'm like, what in the world? It's Thursday. And the guy was, oh, it's closed because you're doing something here over at the Barangay. Or I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'd have to hop back on the bus and then come back the next day. And that was a long bus ride. So that was a little bit frustrating. But I enjoyed going to the immigration offices and dealing with immigration people in the Philippines so much easier than Thailand. And my experience. Other people may not feel that way. But for me, it was a joy. I was so happy. I'd go in. It's like I wanted to go into immigration in the Philippines just to go because I wanted to talk to the guys there, because they were fun to talk to. They're smiling and happy. Not in Thailand. Oh, everybody's all serious and looking at your paperwork, looking at your passport over and over and over. This is on the one visit, and they'd close it. Then they'd open, look it over, look at every little sticker, every little stamp and whatnot, and look at it. And it used to kill me in Thailand too. They'll take up a whole page of your passport. Instead of going in and filling in another section on one of your passport pages, oh no, they'll flip to the middle of your passport, boom, put a stamp right in the middle of the page so nobody else can put anything. And you're looking at them like, really? I only have so many pages in my passport. And you just used up one page for a 90-day check or whatever. I'm being, who knows what it was for. But if you leave, I just got tired of it. Let's see. The nieces of my girlfriend almost speak English better than me. It's incredible. That's funny, William. But, we got to give you a break, man, because, English is not your native language. So it's understandable. But I thought your English was great, man. I didn't have a problem at all understanding you. You probably don't understand me, but because sometimes I talk too quickly and I got a messed up accent. William said they're 13 and 12 years old. Yeah, teenager and one almost. That's one massive Christmas party. Yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, back to my first trip. Okay, so we did all the tour. Soon and I did all the touristy things, and we were getting along pretty well. And but just being friends. And then as time went on, of course, I started really liking her because she was a sweetheart, sweet lady, and so I tried to take it to the next level and whatnot. And we had a good time together. And it came time to leave, and we parted ways. I went back to the U.S. I had to go back to work, and she went back to Nakonsi Tamarat, where she's from. And then about a month after that, she breaks it off with me. I thought we were going to continue to have a relationship, but she's just like, nope, no, this isn't. I don't think this is going to work for me. And I'm just like, well, what in the world and whatnot. And I think what it was is she wanted a rich foreigner, and I'm not rich. Now, when I was working, I was making more than I'm making now, obviously, because I'm retired now. But I do okay, and I was doing okay. But I went through a messy divorce in the U.S. and lost a lot of money to my ex and whatnot. And I think she was looking at somebody who was independently wealthy because she wants someone that could put her three daughters through university. That's what she wanted. And to finish up that story with her, she broke up with me, and we actually got back together again, and she broke up with me again. And I was just like, because I was going to marry her. And then I just thought, because she was a good lady, I thought she was, and I still believe she was a good person. She just had a lot on her plate. So to finish the story off with her, she didn't marry me, but she married a guy from Sweden or Norway or Sweden, and he told her that he's a very wealthy man and whatnot. And he actually, he did pay for her oldest daughter to finish up her schooling and whatnot. But then after that, I think his money started to run out, and she realized that, hey, he's not as wealthy as what he told me he was, because she was talking to me. And I'm like, are you okay? Everything, what's going on with it? She goes, well, no, everything's not okay. And I'm like, well, what in the world? You were really happy with this man. And she's like, well, and that's when it came out. And the truth, it came out. He didn't have all the money that he led her to believe that he had. Okay? He had enough money to put the one through school, but the other two were going to be more of a challenge for him. And that upset her because he misled her. But who knows? She might have misled him too. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you gotta, even in a relationship I have, and that's one of my things. Keep everything above board. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Go your separate ways and wait for the Lord to, wait for God to bring the right person to you. And that's one of my faults, is trying to force things that I shouldn't force, but I also, it's like I told Bellis, I know how to walk away. And he's like, we'll see. Well, I walked away from that girl in Layton. And if she's watching this, which she very well might be, she knows. And it wasn't, I have trust issues, like a lot of men that have been cheated on before. So, I always make sure I tell the ladies that, hey, you got to earn my trust, just like I got to earn yours. So anyway, but it's like I walk away. If somebody breaks, if they're in my circle and they break the trust, guess what? You don't get back in. You usually, but as time goes on, usually I forgive people and whatnot. But when it comes to cheating and whatnot, no, I'm sorry. That's we're done. Excuse me, because it's happened to me too much. So anyway, that's what happened with Soon Tari. Good lady, my first Thai girlfriend, and I thought we were going to get married. I really did, but it didn't. It wasn't meant to be. Excuse me, take a drink. So I went back to Georgia, where I was at. I was a lieutenant. Went back there. Went back to work. But during that time, I was thinking, and even while I was in Thailand, I was thinking, you know what? I could live over here, because in Chiang Mai, where I visited the first time, not in Bangkok. I did not like Bangkok at all on that trip. I've grown to like certain things about Bangkok now because I've been there a lot more, and I still hate driving through Bangkok, but I've done it so many times in the pickup truck. Never did it on the motorbike, but on a pickup truck. Wait, no, that's not true. I did go through Bangkok on a motorbike. I think I did, but I had a 300cc, so it was easier, and I could get on the highway and whatnot. Um, Henry Bouchard, welcome, Henry. And we're doing tonight, Colonel. Hope you're having a good night, buddy. Yeah, Henry, we're just talking. I'm talking a little bit about Thailand tonight. My first trip there, and I initially started out with when people that tell me why they chose the Philippines, and why they left their country and moved to the Philippines if they're living here now, or if they're just half time. Just talking about why they did what they did and whatnot. Hey, Future Farmers Ackland. Hey, Colonel. Hey, brother. How you doing? I was watching his live earlier, and I always hear him talk about mom and dad and whatnot, and I always thought was talking about his girlfriend or his wife's, or girlfriend. I think it's his wife. I thought he was always talking about her parents, but it's actually his parents that are there. I didn't realize that. I kept hearing his dad in the background speaking perfect English with an American accent, and I'm like, that sounds like an American. Then I saw flash by in the video. I'm like, that's his dad. That's his dad from the U.S. So Levi, I want to, I got to come in there and visit you more and meet all of y'all, and I want to hear more of the story. We don't need to talk about it here, but I want to talk about your story and whatnot personally in person. So thanks for stopping in. Thanks for saying hello. Appreciate that, and I appreciate the thumbs up. See a lot of Americans over there. Yeah, in Thailand. Yeah, there's a lot of Americans, but you know what? There's more Americans in the Philippines, I believe, than Thailand. Or the statistics may not say that, but it seems like there's more Americans than in Thailand. And honestly, I've lived in both countries. It makes more sense for an American to live in the Philippines than it does in Thailand. But certain people like things in Thailand better. They love the food. I wasn't crazy about the food. I got sick of the food. But there are certain Thai dishes that I still like, and I like to have once in a while, but not all the time. And I got tired of eating rice. And I come to the Philippines where they eat even more rice here than they do in Thailand, I think, if that's possible. Because in Thailand, they got rice every meal too. But especially in Isan, they'll eat the sticky rice. It's not just the straight up rice, but they eat both. And that sticky rice, I'll tell you what, that's got high sugar content. That'll put weight on you quick. That's why I had to stop eating so much rice. And I don't like to eat it over here very much. Future Farmers Ackland. Yes, sir. My parents are looking forward to meeting you also. Yeah, brother. I think that's going to be so cool. I did not realize that. So I learned something new today, and I'm happy that I learned that. And it makes sense now because you always said, yeah, dad and mom. I didn't realize you were talking about your actual biological parents. So that's kind of cool. Hey, Henry from Future Farm. So I went back. I went back to Georgia, and I was working there as a lieutenant, and I was about 2.5 years or so before being eligible for my retirement at 50, and I was thinking, yeah, I think I want to go live there. I want to go to Thailand, and then as time went on, and then I got promoted, and I ended up getting transferred down to a big prison, federal complex down in Florida, and I made captain, and that was a life-changing experience right there, and also even more stress than I had as a lieutenant. The stress was just crazy, but it was during that time frame where I made a decision. You know what? When I retire, I can't wait to retire. I'm going to move to Thailand, and I was going through this processes. In my spiritual life too and whatnot, and I made a determination that, you know what, material things are only material things. I don't need all these things. I had the fancy schmancy sports car. I had the big pickup truck where, I took up 2 spaces at Walmart when I had to park that thing. I had to pull through one and go into the other one just to get it out of the road so people could get by. So I had all that. And this is how crazy I was with the material things. At one time, I had 2 motorcycles, and I had a Chevy Camaro, I had a Hyundai Tiburon, I had I had a GMC pickup. I had two GMC pickup trucks, and I had another car. I thought, oh, and I had the Porsche. So it was insane. I was a single man. What do I need all these vehicles for? It was just crazy. In all fairness to me, the Camaro I was hot rodding. I wasn't drag racing with it, but it had a drag engine in it and everything. And I was turning that into trying to make that into a hot rod, like, and I don't know what I was doing. Well, the one truck died. It was a diesel piece of junk. I ended up, but then I got another four-door club cab, GMC, big old leftover local government vehicle, I think is what it was at one time. I just was collecting vehicles. Don't ask me why. And the tip around I got on a leftover, I got a really good price, like, what, it's like 10 grand at the time. So I was like, man, I gotta buy that because it's such a good deal. And it was a fun little car to drive. And so yeah, so I just realized during that time in Florida that I don't need things anymore. Just sitting around buying just to collect things. I don't need things. Yeah, things are fun. They're nice to have, but you don't need them to live. So as I got closer to retirement and the stress was just getting unbearable with the job and whatnot, 'cause I had a lot of responsibility for it, not asking for sympathy or pity, because a lot of people have stressful jobs. But when you're responsible for the amount of staff that I was responsible for the amount of buildings and just property that I was responsible for, and two institutions that I was the captain for, and dealing with the females, which are worse than the males. I was at a medium level male, and then I had the minimum security female, but those nasty women. But anyway, yeah, it was challenging, and the stress of it. I was just like, you know what? As soon as I'm turning 50, I'm out of here. Even though I could have stayed till 57, but I made that decision. I'm going to retire. I'm going to sell everything I own. I'm going to sell my house, my car. At that time, I'd gotten rid of most of my vehicles, but I had a Harley Davidson, and I had a Honda Accord. And because I was back, I had the big pickup truck with like a $600 a month payment, which might be low for people now, but back then it was pretty big payment. But man, it was a beautiful truck. It was when they changed their motor in the F-150s. Nice truck, huge truck. But that was back when Obama. Yeah, why did I even bring up that name? Just turns my stomach just saying his name. Obama. I thought the gas prices were going to go through the roof. I'm like, I won't be able to afford to drive this truck. And so I got rid of it, and I traded in and got that Honda Accord. Unbeknownst to me, but the Honda Accords don't get great fuel mileage because they're such heavy vehicles. They're considered a luxury vehicle for Honda. And I was not happy with the fuel mileage. And I'm like, I'd have been better off keeping the truck. I wasn't getting much better fuel mileage in the car, and the truck was much more fun. And yeah, that truck was a beast. But anyway, I just decided to sell everything, and that's what I did. I sold everything, almost everything. I gave a few things to my son to hold on to me, but I had a lot of, the pews and whatnot, and I had long ones, I had hand ones, and I sold all that stuff because I decided I don't need it anymore, And I left my one hunting one with the big scope on it with my son. For all I know, it might be rusted, seized up by now if he's not, because I don't think he's using it. But that was a nice one, and but that's where I was at. I was at that point in life where, you know what, I'm leaving everything behind. And my kids were upset when I told them, which I don't really get to this day because it's not like they were coming to visit me, But they're like, oh, well, you're going halfway across the world. Yeah, I'm going to start my life over. I'm leaving all this stress behind, and I'm going over to Thailand and just chill out, because I knew that I could go to Thailand and just relax, and that was my goal, and that's what I did. And then during that time, when Soon broke up with me, well, I started talking to Pash, who she and Soon knew each other online. See, Soon was also she had her own radio show. She was a radio personality also, locally. But she had known Pash, and they would talk to each other. They never met in person, but they had talked online and stuff. And Pash was older. She was even older than Soon. She was closer to my age. And So I started talking to her and became friends and whatnot. And we kind of were dating, online, so to speak. And not didn't meet her on a dating site. I met Soon on a dating site, but Pash I didn't. Pash was I met her through Soon. And yeah, so I went. That's how I ended up in Phuket because I decided I wanted to go stay with Pash because we got close over those 2 years we were talking and whatnot. And so that's what I did. She worked. She was an accountant at Phuket Fantasy, so I would have never gone to Phuket because that's where Patong is, the red light district. It's very touristy and everything, but it's also very beautiful. Phuket is like a bigger Boracay, and if you go to Patong, Station 2 of Boracay reminded me of Patong, only Patong is bigger, and so that's how I ended up on Phuket because I had passed with my girlfriend then, and I ended up going. I wanted to go to Chiang Mai. That's where I thought I would move to, but it just worked out. Pash was working at Phuket Fantasy. She was an accountant. She wasn't a bar girl or anything like that. She was just a nice older lady, and she was from Hat Yai, which is an area that I wouldn't recommend. Most foreigners don't go to Hat Yai, but if you go, you got to be careful. And it's kind of like when we talk about Mindanao over here. That's Hat Yai over in Thailand. Southern Thailand. It's a different area, and than up in Isan. Thailand, you got the way I look at it. You got like 3 or 4 different areas. Okay, you got Chiang Mai up that way, Chiang Mai, up there in the northwest, and that's more of a heavier Chinese influence. You got Isan, which is the northeast, different group of people, a heavy Lao influence, and they were conquered back in the early days of Siam, and they're not well liked by by the people in the south. So then you got Bangkok, which Bangkok's really part of the south, but I just kind of like Bangkok as its own little thing, okay. And then you got southern Thailand, and then you got in the deep south, which is Hat Yai down Nakhon Si Thammarat, going all the way down to Hat Yai and whatnot. But that's on the east. In the west, you have Phuket and Prachuap Khiri Khan, and in those areas. And I ended up in Phuket, so it worked out. It all worked. Phuket was a nice island to live on. It was a little bit tourist, so more of them spoke English. The immigration office, they didn't treat you too much like a criminal. But as time went on and COVID hit and everything, and I moved around. I lived in Saraburi too, but I ended up going back to Phuket, and I got stuck in Phuket during COVID. And yeah, that was a nightmare, being stuck on that island during COVID. But wow. But anyway, that was kind of the story how I first went to Thailand, and yeah, my first day, and the girl, the lady that was supposed to be meeting me to be my tour guide and everything, wasn't there, and I was just like, oh man, I got stood up. I can't believe it. I was all alone, and but it all worked out. It all worked out, and I can't. I mean, I could complain about a lot of things in Thailand, but I had fun in Thailand, and for the most part, if I had been vlogging back then, I enjoyed Thailand for the most part. There were some things that weren't enjoyable, like immigration. I hated immigration in Thailand. Now, Phuket was not too bad, but in Thailand, even if you have retirement extension like I did, okay, that was a privilege to have that where, you get a whole year-long visa. And it was pretty cool. But, you had to jump through hoops to get it renewed. But I had it down to a science. I did everything they required till I got to Saraburi, and they started harassing me and telling me they wanted more. And I'm like, that's not your regulations. I'm not required to give it. But, they're the boss. You got to do what they want. It cost me $1,000 extra. And it caused me to move. I left Saraburi because of that immigration. And I told the family that I was living with, I'm sorry. I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here another year. I'm not going through immigration what I had to go through last year just to renew my retirement or get my retirement extension, which is normally a pretty easy procedure. And I'd done it for 8 years up to that point, but yeah, Saraburi did me in. When they made me buy health insurance that I knew I didn't need, and I already had, but they made me buy it because my insurance that covers me all over the world is not on their little Thailand list. Um, of their Thailand I was livid, and I thought that's I'm done. And but I didn't know about I was not considering the Philippines then. I just knew I didn't want to be in that province, so I tried to go back to Phuket. Well, by then the Russians had taken over in Phuket, and they call that little Moscow now, because there's so many Russians that were trying to avoid the stuff that's going on over there, and with Russia and Ukraine. So I mean, it was like an invasion. I remember I used to go walk around the lagoon at Naiharn Beach, and I used to walk on the beach at Naiharn, and there was workout stations there that the local government set up. Really nice stainless steel, free body exercise machines, and I would go there every day, and I'd walk the lagoon, walk on the beach. Well, when I went back, I was just like, holy smoke! You couldn't even get on the Naiharn Beach because there were so many young Russian men standing around smoking their cigarettes, trying to show off to each other, and a lot of them were just loitering, just loitering. They weren't even sitting on the beach. They were just looking, because there was no room on the beach. Because it was just, and I don't know how to speak Russian, placebo, I might know a couple words, but yeah, it just wasn't enjoyable. I was just like, wow, this is Rawai where I live. I loved living there, but when the Russian invasion happened, I was just like, nah, I can't live here. You got to remember, I was in the Army during the Cold War, and I was just like, no, this isn't going to work for me because I feel some sort of way. Even with my ex-wife's boyfriend that I believe she was cheating on me with that Russian guy, even though he come up shook my hand every time he saw me one night, I'm just like, dude, you need to get away from me, dude, man. Don't touch me. I just soon do something else to you. But that's because that's what I was brainwashed in the Army in America. We were trained not to like them dudes. So when they invaded there in Phuket, I didn't want to be on Phuket anymore. And it's frustrating because I love Phuket. But when they came out, I was just like, okay, they ruined this place. They ruined it for me, okay? But you got the Russian mafia too in Patong. And yeah, we probably should stay off that subject. Oh, okay, let me get back to the chats here. Oh, RJYT, hello again. RJYT. Oh, I didn't know that. Which part didn't you know, RJYT? But anyway, that's part of my, James, and I think James interviewed me before about Thailand. And, I told a lot of the story there, and I got some negative comments from people. Oh, you didn't do your due diligence. Yeah, I did do my due diligence in Thailand. However, I chose to ignore some of the red flags and the things that I saw and go with the flow and try to make a life for myself. And that's what happened with my second one. I don't even like to count the first one because she acted so crazy. And when she came at me with the butcher knife 2 different times, I was just like, enough's enough. I knew I couldn't trust her, that she wouldn't off me while I was sleeping. And I'm just like, that's untenable for me, not a situation that I need to be in or want to be in. But I don't agree with divorce necessarily. I don't like it, but I'm a product of it. And Lord forgive me for that. But it is what it is. But anyway, I don't need to go into that. The Russian majority in some places in town. Yeah, RJYT, yeah. I mean, they just, especially when the nonsense started over there between the two countries, they just, to get away from being drafted or whatever, they just descended on Thailand like crazy. Because, even like during the high season, a lot of the foreign tourists that come to Thailand, they're Russian. They come from Russia, Ukraine, whatever. The Eastern European bloc countries, they come there to get away from the cold weather over there in Europe. And I don't blame them for that. But it was so many, and it was all younger men. And it just totally changed. I like to live in Rawai, which is the southern tip of Phuket. That was my favorite place. And I didn't start out there living in Phuket. I started out living in Katu on Phuket. But I rode my motorbike down to Rawai one day. I didn't even know it existed. But I went down there and I saw the pier that went way out into the water, fishing pier, and I was just like, this is where I want to live. Because I can go fishing off of that. I can go fishing off that pier. And I did. I went fishing off there quite a bit. And never caught anything substantial, but I've seen other people catching big fish out there. I never did. And I didn't have the patience for it, I guess. But let's see if I'm getting thirsty. Hold on, folks. So anyway, yeah, they totally changed those dynamics. And from what my friend tells me, that he lives in Phuket still, Brian Stam. Uh, he lives there. He has a Thai wife, a beautiful wife, and very educated. And he says, yeah, they're still there. But I've met some. It's hard for me to get over it. But I've met some younger Russian couples. They're really nice people and whatnot. But it's just hard because it was brainwashed in me to, you know, take Russians off the count. You know what I'm saying? That's who we were training to fight against when I was in the army. So it's hard. It's hard for me to get that out of my mind, the stuff that they ingrained in our brains, and to get us to do what the U.S. government would want us to do if we needed to. It's hard to get, yeah, it's brainwashing is what it is. It's hard to get past that. Let's see, RJ. RJ says, I'm sorry to say this, but I came too late to this stream. Hey, I must have my beauty sleep every 10 p.m. I just update on the next one. Hey, RJ, don't worry about that, man. I started late. I was going to come on earlier, but I just was being lazy, and I was eating something, and, I don't know. Then I just decided, I talked myself into live stream. I wasn't going to, but then I just said, the heck with it, I'm going to do it, because probably tomorrow I may not be able to. Tomorrow night I may not. I don't know. I don't think I will be. But maybe the day after that, or yeah, I may not live stream again until Saturday or Sunday. We'll see. We'll see how I feel and how things are going. But that's okay, man. If you got to get your sleep, get your sleep. I need to shut it down here pretty well. I'd like to go for another 13 minutes if I can, but I don't know. I don't know if I can keep talking that long. There's only 5 people in here still, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I always say, spending your valuable time watching my live stream. Even if you're not listening, but you have me on there, I appreciate that too. Because I know I ramble on and on and on. But originally I wanted to talk about was, why people chose the Philippines. And, for me, really, it got to the point where I just got tired of Thailand. I got tired of the government policies and stuff about immigration and the changes. And, you never knew what you were going to run into. And every 90 days, even if you have a year-long, and maybe it's changed now, but when I lived there, it didn't matter. Every 90 days you have to check in. Now they were making it so you could do it electronically, online and stuff. And I did that a couple times, but it just seemed like a pain to me. I was just like, and so that's not a pain, it's easy. I'm like, yeah, but then you got to print off the thing, and you got to. For me, I wanted to just go in and show them my face, so they knew who I would. I'd try to smile to them, I'd be like, Sawadee Cup, and they'd stamp it and sign, give me the little piece of paper, and they'd staple it in your passport, because you had to have that little paper in your passport if they stopped you or whatever. Because in Thailand, technically, you're supposed to carry your passport with you at all times as a foreigner. Now, most foreigners don't do that. They'll just make a copy of it and they'll carry it in their wallet or whatever. But technically, what the law states is that you need to produce your passport when asked. So, like a police or immigration or stops you or police or they stop and they ask you to produce your passport, you're supposed to do it, because don't forget, immigration in Thailand, and maybe the same in Philippines. Immigration in Thailand is actually the police. They're all national police. They're all Thai police. Okay? It's just you have immigration police, and you have the street police, and you have regular police, whatnot, in the different little groups and stuff. But they're all considered police officers. So any of them, if they ask you for your passport and you don't have it, well, guess what? They're probably going to take you into the immigration office. They're probably going to detain you. Maybe not all the time, but they do that to people in patio all the time. Like if they want to go in and bust a gambling ring or something that's going on, and bust a group of people, like they arrested that bridge club the one time. But I still shake my head about that one. But the first thing they're going to do is if they're foreigners, where's your passport? And especially like America, they're going to be, well, it's at my house. Well, hopefully they let you go get it. But what if they don't? Then you'll show them the copy. They don't have to accept that copy, but most of them do. But there's just little different wrinkles there. You got to know what the laws are. Just here, like in the Philippines, here, you got to know what the laws are. And by the way, where's James? Well, right now, where James is, I'm assuming he's at his house, but he lives in Aklan province, up on the northern part of the Panay Island. He lives between Calibo and Rojas City. And, but as far as like, where's he at right this second? I don't know. What time is it? He might be sleeping right now. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're up there in Aklan, which is I can get up to their house in about 2 hours and 2.5 hours, or 2 to 3 hours, depending on the conditions and whatnot, and how fast I want to go. Last time when I went up, I took the long way up the never-ending highway, and that was interesting. It took me a lot longer than what it would be on a normal trip, but I did it. I won't do it again because I don't need to do it again. It just takes too long, and the road was similar to the other road anyway, but yeah, they live in a nice. It's not a bad area where they're, and I wouldn't mind, except for the road going back to their house. That area, and even where William Roseman, I would not mind living up there at all. It's beautiful up there in the mountains and whatnot. And I'm kind of changing. I always wanted to be near the beach, but I'm getting to the point now where it's like I haven't lived near or haven't lived on the beach per se, or where I can just go to the beach every day in almost 2.5 years. I'm kind of getting away from that, where it's like, you know what, I don't necessarily. And even where I was settling at in Isan in Thailand. That was in Isan. There's no water, I mean, I excavated a big lake for myself and stocked it with fish, but there was no beach there, and I was going to settle there for the rest of my life, because coming out on the front porch of my house, if I had finished that house, I had a view of the mountains and the sunset. The sun came right down behind those mountains, and it was beautiful. Sometimes I question the wisdom of the way I position the house, because I'm like, you know what? I got to deal with that sun being right in my eyes, and that might not be enjoyable. But once it gets to a certain point, you get to watch that sunset every night, and I put the lake in front of the house, and the house was at an angle, even though it wasn't parallel to the road, it was at an angle to face the lake and the mountain, and just have the sun come down and reflect off that lake. Yeah, it was going to be beautiful, and it was beautiful. Such as it was, I didn't finish that. It's finished now. I don't like the way it looks at all, but I've seen pictures of it, and they destroyed my design. They changed it, all the windows, everything. They made it look, it's discouraging. But it's not my house. It never was my house. I was building it because I'm a foreigner. I was building it on somebody else's land, and building a house that I knew that when I passed away, it was going to that family anyway. It's the same thing like here in the Philippines, And I've been seeing a lot of people lately where they're like, "Oh, you can't own the house, can't own land." Yeah, but you know what? You can put the land in your girlfriend, your spouse's name, the house or whatever, and have her lease it to you for 30 years, unless you think you're going to live longer than that. That's an alternative. Like Canadian Kuya was doing that. He turn around and lease the land and stuff, and lease it to him, so that he can do whatever he wants with it legally. And basically it's his. I mean, it's not his, but it's his, It gives you a little bit of a safety net to help your feelings if you're worried about that, or you feel, well, I don't want to get ripped out, I don't want to lose. Protect yourself. There's ways around it. Let's see. RJ, I thought you were going to sleep, RJ. It would be so satisfying if it's done. Yeah, but you know what? I walked away from that. I had to walk away from that marriage. I had to divorce her because she was cheating on me, and she was actually she was verbally abusive, even though I didn't understand what she was saying. I found out later the stuff that she was saying. I was like, oh my god, I had no idea that's what she was saying. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, you could have said so. No, they would have killed me. I'm like, okay. Hey, Sergeant USA Daniel. Howdy, Colonel. From Tokyo. Hope all is well. And what are you doing in Tokyo, man? Are you? That's not where you live. You're being a tourist. How's Tokyo? Or are you on your way to the Philippines? I haven't talked to you in a while, Daniel. We need to we need to get over there on Messenger and have a little bit of a chat. But I hope you're doing well, man. How's Tokyo? If you had time, man, tell me how Tokyo is. I've been in Japan, but I didn't get to do any touristy stuff. I flew into one airport, hopped on a bus, and went to paid a lot of money for that bus, and took an hour ride to the other airport. Thought I was going to get to see Japan. Didn't get to see anything because they got the roads blocked. They got walls up on the highway, so you can't see out. That was discouraging. I'm like, why do they do that? Are they that pride? They don't want people to see the countryside of Japan, or Tokyo, or what? I was like, yeah, that blew my mind. I was very discouraged, and that's one of the reasons I took that route. I flew into Japan because I thought I want to see Japan, but nah, didn't get to see anything, and that was a little discouraging. Um, but I understand now. They're kind of like, tell me how it is, because I've heard stories now that they're kind of frowning on all the tourism and stuff, and they kind of want to get back to some nationalism and things like that. RJ says, "Sorry, Colonel. I wish my eye can keep up. Good night. Keep safe, and God bless. And see you on the next stream." RJ, salute. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate that. And when people talk, it makes the live stream a whole lot better, a whole lot more interest. And as people talk to me, it helps my brain remember things, and or you'll spark memories that are filed away back in some deep drawer in my brain's memory, and I'll remember things that I haven't thought about in years. But sometimes they're comical. And I'll be honest with you, for all the hurt and the heartache and stuff and stress and whatnot I've had in my life, I've had a lot of hilarity too. I mean, I try to laugh about everything as much as I can. I may not laugh in the moment, but a few days later, I'm going to laugh about it probably, or I'm going to make light of it, or try to see the humor in a situation. Um, even in Thailand, I mean, it was like I tell people the story about where I had a guy trying to get around my motor. He's trying to race me on my motorbike, and I'm sorry, my motorbike was faster than his, but he got up on my back tire, and I brake checked him, and he nailed me. And then we pulled over the side of the road, and he pulls out this long blade and like displaying it to me. I'm like, yeah, what? What are you gonna do with that? Like I've never seen a shank before. I've never seen a blade before. I'm like, come on, dude. I worked in a federal prison, but it was funny, the comical, and it was actually could have been a really scary situation. I don't know why I was just calm. I was just like, I just remember I looked like, yo, man, I just want to know why you hit me, and why are you so worried about getting around me? I got 300 cc's. You got a 125. I mean, come on, dude. I don't care how much you hop it up and you tie-ify it, trying to make it look like a rice rocket. And as soon as I pulled out my phone to translate, because I wanted to ask him, like, what is your problem? And I should have just said to him, tell my lie. Like, what are you doing? But I didn't think about that at the time. And then he's unscrewing his little wooden baseball bat that he has a little stiletto blade in. It's just like, what? And he's instead of like pointing, he's displaying it like he's in a jewelry store. I'm like, get away from me, man. And when I pulled my phone out, then he thought I was going to film him, and he took off because he knew he was wrong. He rear-ended me, and he shouldn't have rear-ended me. But he was just, being a punk Thai boy, young fellow. He's probably 19 or 20. Thought he was Billy Badass, and whoops, I used a bad word there. It's just a name, folks. And but yeah, he ended up running off, putting his hand over his license plate on his motorbike, so I couldn't get the license plate to turn him in, because I would have turned him into the police, because he threatened me. And yeah, I would. Yeah, to this day, I wish I had gotten that guy. I wish I had thought to film him, but I wasn't thinking. I wanted to just talk to him, like, hey, man, you're not going to beat my bike. You're not faster than my bike, you know. And you needed to stop trying and stop. I mean, get off my butt. Now he was keeping up, so he was doing good, but he couldn't get around me. It made him mad. All right, RJ, and sorry for the dark humor yesterday. It was wild. Again, good night. That's all right, RJ, man. I got a pretty good sense of humor. I don't even remember it, man. To be honest with you, but you gotta, RJ, you gotta remember. I don't know if it's somebody new on the street. I don't know who the trolls are and who the trolls aren't. And I get a lot. I get a lot of trolls that come over from James and Karen, and especially if James is on here with me on a split stream, then I'm going to get the trolls are going to come over here because they like to harass him. And what's happening is my channel is growing. They're starting to come over here too. So sometimes I'm a little bit overcautious because I don't want to give them any play. But you know what? Their comments help the algorithm too. You know, and I try to ignore it, but sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. All right, folks, it's been 2 hours now. Actually, 2 hours, 1 minute. And I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate the 5 of you that stuck with me through it all. Even if you're not listening, I still appreciate you having a live stream on your device. And look at that, 19 thumbs up. That's awesome. That's really good. I appreciate that. That's good for the Colonel. And Henry Broussard, yeah, thanks for hanging out, Henry. Appreciate you staying here so long. We have a good night. Yep, I'm gonna have a good night. And tomorrow I'll be traveling. Tomorrow, late afternoon, I'll be traveling to Manila. You know, prayers for a safe trip on that. And yeah, I get to meet my girl again. That'll be nice. And see how she's doing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now, but anyway, looking forward to that. Folks, appreciate you being here. Thank you. Take care. God bless. The Colonel is out.